How did you meet Bob Ezrin?
Well, I met Bob Ezrin when I had made that demo of Ursa Major. And he came to see me in New York. I was just starting to rehearse the music. And it was going to be, originally it was going to be me and Billy Joel and this drummer, Rick Van Gogh. But Billy and his wife had something going on. And so he left the band, moved to California, and became part of rock and roll history.
Okay.
And I kind of stayed there, put together the final Ursa Major, which included Greg Arama from the Amboy Dukes, Ted Nugent's band.
Oh yeah, Journey to the Center of the Mind.
Power Trio. Yeah, exactly.
What a great song.
We toured with Jeff Beck, and we toured with Alice Cooper. And then we went out and did a tour by ourselves. And at the end of that tour, the Ursa Major broke up. So it was one of those bands that made one record, but a very influential record, and ended up breaking up because you know how it's hard to keep bands together.
Now, did you get to play with Alice Cooper because of the Ezrin connection?
Somehow we got connected because of Dennis Arfa.
Okay.
Who was my manager and later became Billy Joel's booking agent, and he also has one of the biggest, agencies in the country.
Right, you talk about him in the book.
Yeah, Rodney Dangerfield, all kinds of different people. But Dennis is he was a great friend of mine at that time, and I think it was really through his influence and his ability to sell me that got me on those tours. So I have a lot to owe to Dennis Arfa.
Now, I think...
a lot of people,
I'm not sure, but I think Bob Ezrin's first album was Mitch Ryder in Detroit.
Yes, I think so.
Recorded out in Cream Magazine's building, I believe, in Michigan. Like in the basement of Cream Magazine's The Legend.
That's great. That's probably true.
And the guitar player was Steve Hunter, the Deacon.
Right, it was Steve Hunter, right.
So
before Steve and I got together and became like the dynamic duo.
Right. So what I'm saying here for the audience is that Dick Wagner's half of the great Dick Wagner Steve Hunter band. Whatever Happened to Dick and Steve is the name of a bootleg album, a Lou Reed bootleg.
Whatever Happened to Us?
Yeah, Whatever Happened to Dick and Steve is the name of a Lou Reed bootleg album. Because the Lou Reed fans really loved Lou Reed with Dick Wagner and Steve Hunter. Lou might not have appreciated it at the time, but the fans adored what you guys did with Lou.
Yeah, they certainly did. We had a very successful run with Lou.
It was magic. It was one of those moments where it was the right band with the right artist. And you guys could just do your symphonic rock with this great legend singing his classic songs.
Mm-hmm.
And when you went on to Alice Cooper, it was, again, you and Steve reinterpreting classics by another band, although this band was more contemporary, early 70s, and then writing the new hits with the band, which would have happened for Lou, I'm sure. Had he...
Lou was pretty much a stickler for writing his own songs. But Alice and I became collaborators, and I started working with Alice and really creating all of them. That was a 10-year relationship, basically, with Alice Hoople. And Lou Reed was, a whole year, maybe.
Right. What I'm trying to put into context for people...
Go ahead.
Was that Steve Hunter did this Mitch Ryder Detroit classic rock album with a Lou Reed song called Rock and Roll, and you did Ursa Major, so there was a common denominator here named Bob Ezrin.
Right, exactly.
So did Ezrin...
And you can read it in my book. In my book it talks about Bob Ezrin and the influence that he's had on my career. I owe a lot to him.
So I'm going to ask you some questions now about that genesis.
Ask away.
So when did you first meet Steve Hunter? Was it at the Lennox rehearsals?
It was at the Lennox rehearsals. Actually, before that, Mr. Major was playing at a bar in Fort Lauderdale for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And Steve walked in one night, and he was there with the Chambers brothers. He was touring with them. He walked in, and I invited him to go up on stage and jam with me. I had a couple of guitars that he did, and he and I, it was just magic from the very first time we played together.
Wow.
And it was really special. And that slowly developed into doing the Berlin album with Lou Reed, and going on tour with Lou Reed, coming back to New York and playing at the Brooklyn Academy of Music and recording live Rock and Roll Animal. And, subsequent from that, I took basically the same band, with the exception of the keyboard player, and moved them over to Alice Cooper when they had asked me to become Alice Cooper's co-writer and band leader, lead guitar. So what I did was just, instead of putting together a new band, I basically took that band from Lou Reed, which was so phenomenal, and just brought it to Alice Cooper, and the first thing we did was Welcome to My Nightmare.
Now,
there was a whole flow going on there in the 70s. It was very creative and very fortunate combination of musicians and producers. And it was a great period of time for me.
So, I'm trying to get it very, very straight. So after the Ursa Major album and after the Detroit album, you're in Florida for 2 weeks, and the Chambers brothers were in town, and Steve jumped on stage with you. You hadn't done the Berlin album yet.
No, the Berlin album came right after that.
Oh, now, so...
Ursa Major broke up.
Oh, Ursa Major broke up, so did Bob Ezrin call both you guys separately for Berlin?
Yeah.
And did you fly to England to do it there?
Right from the beginning, and they brought me in to do some parts, and so that was our first recording with Lou, and the first recording with Steve.
Now, did you play in New York or in London for the album?
Yeah. For the album, yes.
Was it London?
In London. I just recorded it in New York City.
Okay, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because I think they did the basics in
I
London.
knew that Bob did some of the tracks in New York and some in London.
Right.
I didn't go to London. I was in New York City.
Got it. So then Lou was out touring with the Tots, and I see in your book that you were invited, and then the Tots maybe weren't very diplomatic.
The leader of the Tots was decided on his own that I was not right for Lou as a guitar player. And so they sent me home. I didn't pass the audition. Later, I get a call from Lou's manager, Dennis Katz, who happened to be the A&R guy at RCA who brought Ursa Major and signed Ursa Major. So it's kind of convoluted, all of that activity, but fortunately it all worked out. You can get fired from one thing or refuse, turn around and do the same thing and be accepted. So I didn't make it with Lou Reed when it was the Tots, but I did when it was with me and Steve and the guys that would eventually become the Nightmare Band.
Now,
it's kind of an interesting, story there with all of that in the 1970s, which is all covered pretty well in my book.
Right.
I'm interested in part of the history of rock and roll in America. It's a book to read.